What's up, Attack Pack? This is Axie Attack, and I'm going to be bringing you some factsies about some Axies. Let's get to it. Alright guys, today is going to be all about plants, the absolute best tanks in the game. We're going to be going over to how to use them, their cards, their stats, everything you need to know to jump right into them. Let's get to it. First up, we're going to go over their base stats. This is the stats that are determined by the Axie's body class. Each class has a sum of 140 base stat points. So for plant, they have 43 HP, 31 speed, 31 skill, and 35 morale. So they have the highest HP out of any other class, and some of the lowest speed and lowest skill out of every class, which is why they are fantastic tanks. For each plant body part that you add, you get an additional plus 3 HP and plus 1 morale. If you add all that together, you wind up with a purebred plant that has HP of 61, speed of 31, skill of 31, and morale of 41, meaning they are hardy, slow, and not very skillful. First card up is going to be Aqua Deflect. It costs 1 energy to use, has 70 damage, and 80 shield. Special ability cannot be targeted by aquatic cards if this Axie has teammates remaining. This card is moderately useful. It has decent damage, decent shielding, and an average energy cost. The special ability itself is not particularly useful, as you usually want this Axie to be targeted, and it's only effective against aquatics. Based on its mediocrity, I'm going to have to put it in the C column, middle of the pack. Next up is Aqua Stock. Also costs 1 energy, has a damage of 45, shield of 80. You gain 1 energy if this Axie is struck by an aquatic card. So you get a little bit less damage, but it makes up for it by giving you a little bit additional energy, which is always useful. I'm going to have to put this one on C tier as well for the same reasons. Next up we have Bamboo Clan. 1 energy, 80 damage, 70 shield. Special ability, increase 20% damage when chained with another plant card. So you actually get a little bit more than 80 damage. This one I'm actually going to put in the B tier list just for its damage potential, but it still wouldn't be my go-to. Next up we have Carrot Hammer. 1 energy, 70 damage, and 40 shield. You gain 1 energy if this Axie shield breaks. It can only trigger once per round. That is where the magic happens. You get decent damage, a little bit of shield, and the 1 energy really makes a difference. Basically, you want to use this on your frontline tank Axie if you think your shield is going to break. This absolutely has to be S tier, one of the best plant cards. Cattail Slap. You get 20 damage, 30 shield, but the only saving grace of this one is it costs 0 energy to use. It's a free card to use. Special ability, you draw a card if struck by a beast, bug, or mech card. Mediocre. This card's not great, but it's definitely not useless. I'll give it a D. Cleanse Scent, 0 energy, 0 damage, but a nice 50 shield. It also removes all debuffs from this Axie. Not a bad little card, especially for 0 energy. For all that utility with no energy cost, yeah, I'll give it an A. Drain Bite costs 1 energy, does 55 damage, and has a 55 shield. You also heal this Axie by damage this card inflicts. All in all, a pretty good card with a little healing on top. It's a fun little card that has its uses. I'll definitely give it an A. For Spirit, costs 1 energy, does 0 damage, 40 shield, and you heal the front teammate for 190 HP. This card is not very good. You are 9 times out of 10 going to be the front teammate, so there's not really a whole lot of use case for this one. There's not really a whole lot of cases where you'd want to take your plant off of the front line, but if you did, I suppose this card has a use. I'll give it an E. Gas Unleashed costs 1 energy, does 30 damage with 20 shield. You apply poison each time this card is used to attack or defend. It's a decent card, but I think that the actual poison damage is too low right now. If they were to raise it, it'd be usable. Very middle of the pack card right now, so I will put it right in the middle. Healing Aroma is my go-to healing card if I want to put a little bit of healing on my tank. 1 energy, 0 damage, 40 shield, and heals for 120 HP. It's not a bad card, but there's definitely better horn cards out there. I don't love or hate this card. I'll put it in the middle. Leak. 1 energy, 60 damage, 80 shield. When hit, disable the attacker's range cards next round. It's an all-around decent card. Moderate damage, moderate shield, and a little bit of utility on top. Not bad. I would say it's slightly better than average. I'll give it a B. October Treat, hands down the best card that the plant has. 1 energy, 0 damage, 115 whopping amount of shield. If you get a double October Treat on your Axie at any point in the game, damage is not getting through. You will waste so much of your opponent's energy, and it's wonderful. You also draw a card if the shield does not break this round, which is a sweet little bonus right on top. It goes without saying, this is absolutely an S. All day, every day, an absolute must-have for your plant Axie. Prickly Trap, another absolute beast of a card. 1 energy, 110 damage, and 20 shield. You also deal 120% damage if this Axie attacks last. And as we know, plants, at least purebred plants, have the slowest speed, so you will almost always be attacking last. This card is for damage what October Treat is for shield. Wonderful. Top tier. Of course it's going to be another S and another absolute essential. Refresh is 0 energy, 0 damage, 50 shield. This one removes all debuffs from a teammate if it's directly in front of this Axie. If you are going to have your plant off of the main front line and slightly back, this isn't a bad way to go. And it's free. It's a pretty good card. I'll put it up with Cleanse for the same reasons. Seed Bullet is almost a good card. 1 energy, 30 damage, 30 shield. Its main purpose is it targets the fastest enemy. So this is what they call a backdoor card because it usually gets you onto their back line so you can skip their tank and start doing damage right to the back. The only issue is most of your damage comes from your horns, and this takes up the horn spot, reducing the amount of damage you can put out. The fact that it lets you hit the back line is very valuable, but the fact that it takes away your horn card gimps it a little, so I'll give it a B. Shrooms Grace is another almost great card. It's another healing card, 0 damage, 40 shield, and it heals for 120. The issue is that it is a back card, meaning if you run this card, you cannot run Pumpkin, and we all know how much I love Pumpkin. All in all, I'll give it a B. It's a good card, but there's better options. Spicy Surprise is a good card. 1 energy, 90 damage, 50 shield, and you disable target's mouth cards for the next round. It does decent damage and the utility's nice, but there are some better cards out there. I would say it's a very good card, but not the best. I'll give it an A. Sweet Party. This card sucks. The main reason is it costs 2 energy. 2 energy. The most expensive card in the game. It does not give you any damage or any shield. It just gives you a heal. This card is an absolute dumpster fire and belongs in the trash. F for sure. Turnip Rocket's okay. Moderate damage, moderate shield. You get to target a bird if it's comboed with 2 or more other cards, but as stated before, you don't really put out a whole lot of damage as a tank, so that's not really what you're aiming for. It's all in all a pretty okay card. Middle of the pack it goes. Vegan Diet's okay. 1 energy, 65 damage, 65 shield, and it heals this Axie by damage this card inflicts on a plant target only. It's basically the same thing as Drain Bite, except it only works on plant targets, so it's slightly worse. Since it's a slightly worse version of Drain Bite, we're just going to put it on C tier, 1 down from Drain Bite. Vegetal Bite is another one of my personal favorites. 1 energy, 30 damage, 30 shield. Where it really shines, though, is you steal 1 energy from your opponent when comboed with another card. If you get 2 Vegetal Bites together, you can take 2 energy from your opponent, give it to yourself. That really screws up their plan and helps you out. Absolute S tier, another staple that you should use if you can. Our last plant card is going to be Wooden Stab. 1 energy, 105 damage, 40 shield. Deal 120% damage if this Axie's shield breaks. It's almost as good as Cactus, because chances are your shield's going to break at some point in the round and you get the extra damage, but it's not as guaranteed and it's not quite as much damage. Still a very good card. I would still say it's definitely worthy of S tier. Alright guys, so if you put all this information together, what does it all mean? If I were to build a plant Axie, I would make one similar to the one pictured here. I would 100% go with Pumpkin for the back. I would definitely pick Carrot for the tail. I would go with Vegetal Bite for the mouth. And for the horn, I would say either Wooden Stab or Cactus. Or if you want to do some healing on top, I'd throw in some Healing Aroma. Any of those would be a solid choice. Now, when you're looking to play it, what you want to do is you want to use your Pumpkin to block as much damage as possible. Anytime you think your enemy is going to be throwing out damage, especially large amounts of damage, you want to put a Pumpkin in the way to absorb as much of it as it can, because after all, you are a tank. As far as your Carrot goes, you want to time it out so when you maximize the energy, if you think they're going to be able to break your shield, you want to throw that out so that way you get the free energy from the broken shield and you get a little bit of damage on top of it. For the horns, just a little extra damage on top of all your other damage Axies, which is always nice, or healing if you'd prefer. And for the vegetal bite, whenever you can combo it with another card, you can really screw up your opponent by stealing their energy that they were counting on and adding additional energy to your reservoir. And that is the basics of a plant. Alright guys, that'll wrap it up for today. Keep playing, keep breeding, keep attacking. Axie Attack out.